Good morning. Welcome to this initiative of IESA, and it's one of the most happening initiative I can say, because there was never an initiative like Fabless Conclave earlier, but this is a good initiative started by IESA and which is actually progressing very well. And to give the welcome note, I invite IESA Chairman Anil Kumar Muniswamy, who is the MD of SLN Technologies as well. Welcome, Anil.
Good morning, friends. I think at IESA we have a bunch of passionate people who actually made this event possible. These people are, have fantastic ideas. Some of them are our PC members, some of them are our IESA members. Some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are intrapreneurs. So if I can say, entrepreneur is the most selfish guy who actually works for his benefits. Intrapreneurs are far better because they work like entrepreneurs within an organization. But there are some people who are much above that, much far above all of us. I call them scientists, okay, or saints. They don't expect anything for themselves, but they contribute to the country continuously without any problems, any fatigue. Day and night, 24/7, that is their job. To such community, Dr. Kiran Kumar belongs. And I would like to welcome Dr. Kiran Kumar for this Fabless Semiconductor Conclave. I really don't want to take much time, but if I don't really acknowledge his achievements, then I'll not be doing justice to my job. Dr. Kiran Kumar, he entered ISRO in 1975. And he's reputed, his reputation is sensor man. He is called as sensor man in ISRO. Starting from, Aryabhatta, then Bhaskara, the most recent Chandrayaan project, and then Mangalyaan, Dr. Kiran Kumar has been developing sensors. And it's a great contribution to the country because these are indigenously developed products that goes into the satellite. And satellite without sensor has no value, right? So he has been working for more than 43 years, 75 until today, and he is continuing to contribute to the society as well as ISRO, and all of us get a lot of inspiration from him. And probably this is the right, occasion to invite him because we have a bunch of Fabless semiconductor companies, and it is one of its kind, first of its kind initiative by IESA. And it all started with people like JC, Ashok, then Hemant, a bunch of passionate people, as I mentioned earlier. It actually coincides very well with our vision of IESA. After brainstorming for a couple of years, we said if we have to make a big dent in the market or in electronics industry, we have to start with design. In other words, I would say that design-led, manufacturing, and therefore we said that we are going to make India as the hub for electronic system design and manufacturing, not just for India, for the whole world. So with this kind of vision, we started doing a lot of activities, and this is one of his first, kind of activity. We created Fabless Semiconductor. We are trying to create Fabless Semiconductor ecosystem. As a first step, we could get a fantastic support from Karnataka government, and they have granted some money for starting this semiconductor Fabless accelerator lab. So you can call it as a kind of pre-launch event. The actual launch will take place after some time, but this is a kind of pre-launch event. This heading is given by Ashok in a very creative way because we want to do things step by step. But very shortly it is going to happen, and government has already agreed for this. So the objective of this event is to identify Fabless semiconductor companies in the country and give kind of support to them and understand their requirements. And we wanted to bring some VC community also for this event so that they can get some kind of assistance from them through funding or whatever assistance they can give. So we invited some, people for this, and I would like to acknowledge, the sponsorship of Next Orbit Ventures. Ajay Jalan is here. In fact, the entire event, sir, it was done in less than 30 days time, and probably these passionate people have worked day and night to make it happen. So we didn't have great expectations, but we said let us start, with this event, and then we can start doing so many other things. And let me tell you, friends, it all actually in a way started with initiatives of Dr. Kiran Kumar only. Last year he said, let us do something more than what we are doing, and then we visited Semiconductor Complex, which is in Chandigarh. That was 2 years back. The entire EC of IESA went there, and we just saw. We always had in our back of our minds that how we can utilize this fantastic facility, but we were actually encouraged because Semiconductor complex was taken over by ISRO, and we know ISRO means, it's a kind of very reliable organization which is known for its meeting deadlines and launching satellites. So we thought that now finally SEL is in the right hands, and therefore we started expecting a lot, and he didn't disappoint us. In fact, last year we conducted one workshop for industry people, where ISRO, many different divisions of ISRO people came and gave presentations on what they are actually doing and what they expect from the industry. As an extension, this year, in fact, 1 month back, we met Dr. Kiran Kumar, and that time he said, we'll take the Semiconductor Complex Association to the next level, where they really want to give the the infrastructure. They want to open up this infrastructure for the fabless semiconductor community, and they are also discussing with us how it can be upgraded and in what way we can work with not only entrepreneurs but also with the student community, with academia. So we are working on all these things, and probably he's the right man to talk more on this subject. So with this short welcome speech, I want to hand it over to MC. So that he can invite other speakers. So once again, I would like to thank all of you for participating in this event. And once again, thanks to Next Orbit Ventures, then Bharat Fund, Som is here. So a lot of people are here, and I hope something will come out of this conclave, first conclave, and year on year we will take it to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anil, for the insightful welcome note. Now I invite Jitendra Chadda, Vice Chairman IESA and Senior Director Strategic Relations and Operations Intel India, to speak about the entire initiative and Fabless ecosystem in India. Welcome, Jesse.
It's nice to be welcomed in your own office. I'll not use the stage. This is the most frightening thing. If you are at Intel, you are always facing the employees when you're on the stage, and you're always getting bashed up. So I'll just stay outside of the stage for now. So first of all, thanks for coming. You have been brave to venture in this part of the town early morning, and especially 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. I wouldn't have done it if I was on the other side of the town and was asked to come to this part of the town in the morning. So special thanks to all of you for coming here, and thanks for coming, and also welcome to Intel campus. Few of you guys have visited. I've met you here, and you guys must be meeting other Intel employees and organizations. But if you are first timer here, welcome. It's glad to have you guys here. Now, before I start on the initiative, the Fabless initiative, the Safal, I just want to do a little plug on Intel, if you allow me, just 2 minutes. And why that plug? Because it's not just because you are at Intel and I have the mic and I have the time so I can do it, but this is the 50th year of Intel's formation, or 50th year anniversary of Intel. You can see few boards here. So as employees, of course, we are very proud of it. I see Verma here, few other Intel employees. I see Ashok here. You also see Nat. who just left, but it just feels like he's still Intel. So we have served like 22 years. I've been here. I know, Verma, you have been a long time here too. So we are very proud of this reaching 50 years, and company is still strong. We are still making, close to $70 billion revenues, and I think there's nothing that I see that is going to stop us. But that is important. We are really proud. But I'm sure this whole room would be equally proud of it, because in some ways or the others, I'm sure you have been a partner to this journey, the 50th year journey. So I also wanted to share this 50th year of celebration that we are having, and also thank you all guys for the partnership that we have had, and I think it's going to keep going for as many years we can think of, right? With that, one more thing. Now, 50th year of Intel formation. A lot of people may not know, and we have kept it little subtle till now because we did not want to confuse it with the 50th year of celebrations and so on. So we ended the main celebration. It was 18th July was the date. Yeah, 18th July was the date. Uh, this is also Intel India's 20th year of formation. So we are, thanks, and which is very important for this audience, because you have been associated with Intel India for that long, and we would be doing some kind of a celebrations also for the 20th year. And what you would be asked to do is maybe join once more in the coming few months to be part of that celebration. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that one. Maybe we do, this is a pre-launch, maybe we do a launch that time of support. Anyways, so with that, yeah, before you go out, don't forget we have a small gift for 50th year that you can carry along with you. It's a small water bottle and a t-shirt, so don't forget to take that when you go back, okay? Okay, now coming to the main agenda. So I think I feel lucky that I am standing here and talking about it. But let me tell you, I have done the least of this work. I'm not being shy of talking about it, but there are people in the room. Ashok, Hemant. Where's Hemant? Hemant, Ashok, can you just raise hands? Since you have put me here, you have to be getting embarrassed too at the same time. And where is Anup? Anup is on the way. So, and then Sanjeev is in Europe somewhere. So we have, these are the real folks who have, put, lot of effort into this, right? Now, I need one help from the audience. I was sent a presentation last night, and I was asked that I should do that presentation. So remind me that I have to do that presentation if I forget to do it. Okay. Now, before that, the presentation is there. So remind me that I go to the next foil because I may just forget. Because I have known to be not, going through my foils, and I've been bashed on that even in my company. Now, there are a couple of things that you should remember as I, give you an update on what has happened in the Fabless space and what we have done over the last 18 months or so. So this is really a story, if I really recall myself, is of, getting rejected. This is a story of rejection. This is a story of egos. And this is a story of constraints. So remember that rejection, egos, and constraints, right? Now this may sound like some novel or maybe Shakespeare novel, but it is not really. So the kill does not happen. Okay, so except for the kill, it can be a Shakespeare novel where you get rejected, you have a lot of egos, and then you have a lot of constraints, right? So that is the story. If you remember that, I think you will understand where we are in the Fabless journey that we started, I think, 18 months back. We are still not where we can say, why are we calling it a pre-launch? Because we are still not there. It will still take, few more steps, few more things to do. And then there are three kinds of people in this room right now. I think one, I don't need to tell anybody in this room what is the fabless industry. I know I would be just preaching the choir because you guys know definitely more than I do on the fabless space. But there are three kinds of people who definitely are believers that India should, or India ecosystem should be doing something in the fabless space, right? So there is that one kind of people. So if you are in that boat, you are in the right room today. Okay. Then there is a second kind of people. I know because I have talked to those people, and all of us, Ashok, Hemant, Anup, all of us have talked to them over the last 18 months, who are skeptics, who are neither here nor there. They are watching. They are ready to, help and support. So I think you will add the most value today in the room. And there are third who definitely have told us this is a useless thing. You're wasting your time. I don't know if any of those people are in the room, but we know few of those people. I have heard that. Uh, Now, what can I say? I think you are also in the right room, just that you will be proven wrong. So that's basically three kind of people we have. People who are really on for it, they have supported it, they want to take it. Skeptics, who are helping out but are not sure. People who do not believe in this will be proven wrong. But we need all those three kind of people, right? So, that's basically this room is, and hope we, keep, going forward with this, right? So now the story of, the rejection. I think where we are standing today, Safal is uh, the initiative that Ashok had already talked in the Vision Summit. So if you have not heard it, it is about, creating a really a support system for fabless companies in India, and it stands for, Semiconductor Fabless Acceleration Lab. That's basically what Safal, stands for. So when we started this 18 months back, we wanted to piggyback on one of the initiatives that was already happening in the country. I think IIT Hyderabad was already working on it, and we were very excited that something they were creating a very good accelerator where we can basically tie and plug in what the fabless companies require, give our requirements to them, and have a good collaboration on it. So that work kept on going for 6 to 7 months. It was a very healthy dialogue. We gave the requirements and as part of IESA community, and we thought it would really go forward. Uh, and unfortunately, whatever the reasons, I really have not gotten and dig what the reasons were. But 9 months of that work, one day we heard after 9 months that no, the fabless companies, if they are not from the academia, could not be supported by that effort. And which was really a big time loss, because for 9 months we have been working and we have been really waiting for just to collaborate and go ahead. And we had multiple of those rejections that took place. So that was, so this shuffle today, what has happened would not have happened if we wouldn't have gotten rejected, and if we wouldn't have gotten no's, after doing lot of work. So if you really look back, that is where it all started, and then the egos came into play, and then we said, okay, so none of us wanted to be the begging and then pleading that do this, do that, right, for us. So that is where we decided that we have to create an accelerator which is open for all, whether you are academician, whether you are a fabless company that has a great idea, or whether you are a fabless company that already has a product and want to take it to the next level. Right? So this should not be a constrained accelerator or a constrained program where you allow one side and do not allow one. So one thing we decided as a team was, hey, it has to be an open environment that we provide, or an open platform that we provide for anybody who wants to do innovation and wants to accelerate their innovations through in the fabless space, right? So that is what we decided to do. Second, we wanted to make sure all the right partners are together and there is something for everybody to take back. Whether it is an EDA partner, whether it is a Fabless company, or whether it is the other IP providers in the ecosystem, who could help out. And I think IESA was the right platform which could bring all of those together. So the second part was that how do we bring in all these partners, to be part of, this forming this, the whole concept, and forming Safal as a platform for the Fabless ecosystem to flourish in India. So that is, basically, where we went about. And then the constraint part was, so the rejection created the ego problem. The ego said, okay, we have to do our own. And then there was a constraint environment. Except me, all the people who I was working with were the founders and CEOs of their companies. I was only the working class in that forum. But they are cheap people. They don't want to spend a lot of money. I can't spend a lot of money because I have to take permission of my management. So the cheapest way for us, without taking,
Frugal is the right word.
Yeah, nicer word is frugal. Okay. So I think that constraint, we couldn't afford to be making Delhi trips and being in front of Delhi governments and pleading what we wanted to do and so on. So the cheapness in us, or the constraint of that, made us go as close as possible, and Vidhan Sauda in Karnataka was the closest we could go. It was easy to take a car ride there, have a dosa somewhere, and then. By the way, all these founders I have come to know, they will spend more on beer, but not on a plane ticket to Delhi. So that is one thing I have found. So the closest we could go to was influence the government locally, because we were most of us were here, and that's where we said, okay, let's get the ecosystem together. Do the right thing so that it's an open environment, open platform for everybody, and get the support that you require, because we required funding for this, and this ecosystem requires a lot of money. It's not like a software or app ecosystem where you could start very easily. Even you will start losing friends actually if you start borrowing money for this ecosystem. You may not lose friends in the software part of it, but here I'm telling you, you will lose friends if you start borrowing money from friends and doing angel investing through them. So the third constraint was we being cheap, and the closest was the where we could go with the Vidhan Sauda, and the Karnataka government actually came together and said they would fund this. Right? Now remind me, I have to do the presentation, right? So I have to click this foil. How does this work? Okay. So I think you get the sense of what we are trying to create as a platform. There are two parts of it. One is where we want to really start to create a really good platform where the incubation can happen and initial support for incubation can be provided for the Fabless companies. Right? And the second step of it would be, once the incubation support is there, how you can really help now these companies to accelerate, to go to the market, faster, to do production in mass, and so on and so forth, which requires, the acceleration part or go to market. The expansion part requires another set of solutions or another set of support system. Where we are today, we have an agreement with the Karnataka government that they would be funding us on the incubate part, and it's a huge funding, right? If you really calculate total, I think we asked for 3 years. I think if my memory serves right, 27 or 27.4 crores of total funding to incubate 3 to 5 companies in the next 3 years. And Karnataka government said, yeah, they could do up to 80%. Or the proposal we prepared was that they do 80%. So they committed out of 27, 22 crores or so. Rough math, that's basically what I remember. So, basically we have that commitment. As of yesterday, we sent, a few mails to them because we were doing the pre-launch to ask, hey, how much time are you still committed? Anil has made multiple calls to the minister, to the new minister, and what the SMS we got was, yeah, you can share. It will be 3 weeks from now by the time it would be, ready. So, that's basically what we got. Now, 3 weeks from government, I'll take it with pinch of salt. Maybe it's 5 weeks, maybe 7 weeks, but there is a commitment that we have, from them on this. So I think we are pretty in a very good shape on where we have come as far as incubators, concerned. Yeah. Now the journey of that, the rejection, the ego, and the constraint is playing again. If I really look at it. Now, if we just start and incubate, we may make a big name or a good name for next 2-3 years and say, hey, India is doing, great. The government will take kudos for what they have supported in this ecosystem and so on. But if we do not have really a support system which is ready for acceleration, then it will be just that, show off we can do that we have innovated, nothing more than that. It will not really, create a really, really big impact if we just stop here. So again, we had a conversation of what do we need to do for, acceleration. And one of the things came to play was, hey, we have to go to the fund houses. We have to go to these fund houses, make sure the funding is ready. When few of these companies that we incubate or we support in incubation, when they come out, the funding is ready for them to be able to scale, to be able to the next level, right? And there's the story again plays where fund houses are not sure because they would always compare what is happening in the software or in the system side of it. You will not have a Fabless company, really beat the matrix or the financial indicators that these fund houses look at to be able to fund some of these Fabless companies. So again, you get into that rejection mode. Again, your egos start to come to play. So what we have discussed and decided to do is, hey, why not a fund creation for when these companies go into the acceleration mode, right? So we are in that rejection mode again, and we are trying to see what do we need to do to make sure that the accelerate part of it is also taken care of, right? So I'm not saying we are creating a fund. This is not an announcement for any of that. But since the same thing is playing again, don't be surprised if some of those things start to happen, right? And if you believe in that, then support it, right? Basically. Okay, so makes sense? Any questions before I go? You guys understand where we are, where we want to go with this? Safal? Yeah? Okay. So again, as I said, we would be agnostic to which stage you are in your innovation as far as engaging with Safal is concerned. The previous point shows that we will be in the incubate space. We will be supporting with some of the tool requirements that the companies have, the test chip they have to do, how we can combine the efforts and do some negotiations or engagements with the foundry and so on. And these are basically, this is not put by me, this is put by some of the experts that I took the names of. But this is how, from the compute side of it, from the communication side of it, where this Fabless companies would work around, and what are some of the IPs in memory space or in analog IPs and so on. Where would they be working? And it could be a new company, it could be an existing company. The good news is that though we are not on the map of top 5 countries in the world who have Fabless companies and Fabless companies, US, China, Taiwan, to an extent Singapore come as top four there. But the good news is that without really having a lot of support, there are a lot of companies that you can map to the previous foil or the components of the semiconductor design, and say that there are already efforts, there are already some success stories and some companies who are working, and you can easily map where these companies stand and what kind of work they are doing in that space. Right. So it's although it may seem like we are not on the world map, we may be starting from scratch. It's a hard road to take, something very new. But the good news is that there is already lot of companies who are in this space, right? And not to forget, how is this ecosystem gotten built, why these companies are already there, although it seems like a very small number, 13 14 of them. But if you really look at our ecosystem in India, it is a very strong design VLSI ecosystem already, right? Lot of MNCs have lot of design engineering that happens today. We are one of the examples. We have 8,000 plus people in Intel itself, and 90% of them are doing very high-end design work. There are many other companies who, some of them are in this room, some of them not, but there are lots of them. And then there are a lot of services companies in this space who are supporting the big companies. Without that support, I don't think we would be known or we would be as successful in this area of the design work in India. So lot of that services and lot of the design work in the MNCs is already happening, and these companies are also getting supported by either those services companies or at times even from the MNCs. And these companies are ready now to build the IPs or the designs or the chips for the future that we want. They are already doing it, and if we provide the right platform, they can definitely be successful, right? So that whole ecosystem is there. Of course, in the fabless space, you can say the products don't come out, so is little bit nascent. But otherwise, I think ingredients are there. And what is the best about all of us coming together in this room is that this is the team of people who can take this ecosystem to the next level. Of course, it is, we can say it's a hard road or whatever we can say about it. But I think there is a lot of good support, from the government that has come in. There is a lot of support from, other, either MNCs or other industry partners. There is a support from the startups are in this space, whether they are services companies or the fabless companies themselves are coming forward and trying to build this whole ecosystem platform. It's not somebody else doing it for them. So if all of this coming together, I think is going to make a big difference. So it's a matter of 2-3 years where I think we have a great opportunity. The start we are starting to make with Safal, we can take it to the next level. And just not stop at the incubation level. We make sure we are doing something to accelerate and grow these companies as they develop. Okay. Okay, so I think I've taken my 20-25 minutes of time. So that's basically the progress I wanted to share. So today what we wanted to do is do a kind of a pre-launch, and if I have to tell you 3 things, if you can remember and take from today's conversations. Number 1, remember, I think this is not unreal, this is real. I know even if you are a naysayer, that's fine. The participate in it. I think it's real. And the second thing that remember as you are having the discussions today is this is not end. I think we cannot just start to say, okay, we have achieved something and then done. This is a very small start that we are doing. But all of us working together for next 2-3 years and keeping the focus on, I think we can make a huge difference, and we will be very proud of ourselves in next 2-3 years if we keep the focus and be together on this, right? The third thing, which is very, very important, the most important thing from today's discussion, I think if you can think of one way you can help either in the ideation or the acceleration stages that we talked about in the Fabless ecosystem, think of that one way you want to contribute to it before we all end the session today and leave the rooms, right? So it could be in your personal capacity, it could be in the capacity of the company that you're working with. One way you can help out either in the ideation or the acceleration stage, right? The second, which is even more important than the first one, which is one thing that you will benefit, think of that you or your company will benefit out of this. If you can have clarity on those two before we leave the rooms at 3 p.m. or whatever time we are leaving, I think that would be a great accomplishments we have done and a great use of time and the bravery we have shown to cut the traffic of Bangalore today. Right? So with that, thank you, and I look forward to the session today.
We'll do a
JC, yeah, just play the video for the Shuffle pre-launch.
Just click this. Okay, so there is a video that gives you some summary of it. One more.
India's startup scene is on the cusp of a huge inflection point, with 4 startups spawning every day and a total of more than 20,000 startups as of today. Fabless silicon design innovation has emerged as the next big opportunity for the technology ecosystem. It could be India's calling card in the future, unleashing the full potential of entrepreneurship and innovation. But it needs to be unshackled of the challenges that it faces today, such as lack of infrastructure, access to tools, IT, test and measurement equipment and platforms, design expertise, mentoring, manufacturing support, market access, and funding. The role of the technology ecosystem, government, and industry is crucial to provide the much needed impetus to fabless silicon startups to flourish. Heralding a new chapter in the semiconductor startup space in the country, Karnataka government and India Electronics and Semiconductor Association (IESA) are collaborating to incubate fabless silicon startups through Semiconductor Fabless Accelerator Lab (SUFFLE).
I guess we should give a big round of applause. Now I have the honor of inviting our keynote speaker, Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar. And half of my honor was actually taken by our chairman, Anil Muniswamy, because he introduced him. He introduced everything of Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar. But let's introduce Kiran Kumar. Dr. Kumar is an Indian space scientist and a former chairman of ISRO. He is credited with the development of key scientific instruments aboard Chandrayaan-1 and Mangalyaan spacecrafts. In 2014, he was awarded the Padma Shri, India's 4th highest civilian award, for his contribution to fields of science and technology. Dr. Kumar previously served as director of SAC, which is Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. In 2017, he was awarded the Vignan Ratna H.K. Firodi Award for his contribution towards direction of Indian space program in the areas like Earth observations, communication, navigation, and development of India indigenous launch vehicles. I would like to invite Dr. Kumar. A big round of applause. And Dr. Kumar would speak on nurturing ISRO partnership with Indian semicon companies for strategic reliance.
Good morning to all of you. At the outset, I should thank IESA for giving me an opportunity to come and interact with the fabless entrepreneurs who want to make a difference to the country. My association with semiconductors, fab, started way back almost 1.5 decades, 2 decades back, when we were trying to build a detector chip in semiconductors laboratory. And we also were looking at making one of the charge coupled devices to be built there. And with the semiconductors laboratory, with 0.8 micron technology that was there, we were successful in realizing a 4000 element 7 micron device, which we actually flew. We were the first to fly it into a geostationary orbit, and we were able to make use of the device that we developed here. And we also used it for our a miniature satellite, what's called IMS. That's when I started really getting into the semiconductors fab and then how it works. And then later I had opportunity to work in their board, and my interaction with semiconductors laboratory goes back to almost a few decades. While we have been hearing in the country why there is no fab in India, why the government, in spite of wanting to do or saying that it wants to do all the time, nothing happens. And the only fab which produces 180 nanometer technology components is in Chandigarh. With the facility, whatever is established there, today what we have already done is we have brought out more than 150 products, and many of them very important products for our own use. Our use, like the processor chip which we use for our launch vehicle microprocessor, what we call Vikram processor. That is a processor which does all the computation for the launch vehicle activities, that we have developed there, and we are already tried it in one of our flights along with the in a dummy package mode, and then in the coming years, of course, it will be utilized. And then we have also built a number of detector chips which otherwise would cost huge amount elsewhere. Now, the current capability of this itself, just for the sake of small information, that we have done up to almost 5 million gates or 30 million transistors, and it can work up to 500 to 700 megahertz clock speed and a gate delay of about 27 picoseconds, and cell size about 5.6 micron. And among the 150 products that have been made, you have converters, power conditioners, UART, then RF handling, processors. And more than this, one other thing that has been done is, along with the Department of Electronics, we are engaging with academics. There are about 10 clusters, each cluster of 6 institutions, which, and so far about 56 designs coming from this has been converted into silicon, and trials have been done, and many of them have been successful, and some of them not so successful. And for our own use, we have done more than 150 designs, and then it's working. So today you can say in the country, this is the only fab which is operating. Of course, there is a huge challenge even for the government to keep it running, to make sure, because as you can visualize, this was not a entirely new system. It's a system which is brought from elsewhere and then established, and to keep it running is not a simple task. While this is happening, we are also looking at how this capability can be improved further, and in various aspects, how we can provide within the country a mechanism for improving the capability in the fab itself. We are also looking at parallelly all the, see, since we do not get all the materials that is required for this easily, we are also looking at all the chemicals and materials, how to develop within the country. And our aim is to make sure that this entire thing is going to be possible. And even in terms of packaging, we are trying to actually develop some of the packaging people, both in terms of ceramics as well as the various types of packaging that is possible, including actually supporting some of the industrial entrepreneurs for doing this job. Now, while our interest, our aim is definitely to make sure that this particular foundry provides opportunity for actually entrepreneurs and take provide them opportunity to make the silicon chips. As you can easily visualize, being a government company, anytime we want to work with an industry or somebody, the first question we will be asked is, why this person, why not somebody else? And that's it. And how did you make this selection? Why are you supporting them? So this is the, actually the country still has not come out of the complete mindset where anything that the government and private, when it is working, there is something beyond just monetary transactions. So that kind of mindset has to change, while particularly in areas like this where technology needs to be nurtured and you need to make a difference. So there are challenges for us also, but notwithstanding that, what we are trying to see is, definitely we are in discussion with some of the companies to see whatever ideas they have, how they can be actually translated into making chips, at least for the initial segments. So we are trying to make it through the academic institution, so that at least first process of making the chip itself, you don't get into the commercial activity. So one of the things that many of you could also look at is, when you are making your first initial design checks, if it can be done through some academic institution, like what we said, we have already done more than 50. So that part of it could be easily done. And then the next step becomes much more easier, because both the company is clear that what is going to be the result and how they can actually get it in larger numbers at that time. So basically, we need to work around with the mechanisms that impede our progress within the country. We definitely have to, for that, both of us need to actually think about how we can first identify the problems, like Cheddaji was pointing out, that rejection is the first thing. And in fact, the more and more you get rejected, if you are not actually giving up, you will come up with a better way of solving the issue, and then subsequent events can be much faster, while the initial progress can be slow, but then you would have found out all the methods by which the problems could be addressed. And definitely today India is actually looking at a mechanism where the electronic industry, as has been pointed out, is going to grow, and we are told that the electronics importing will be much more than whatever other imports that we are going to do in the country in the coming years. If in that area, if we are not able to make a difference of producing them and then generating products within the country, definitely we will be depending too much on others. So there is absolutely no two opinions on making a difference to the country, whether it is the making the fabs itself, of course, is going to be a problematic because of the huge amount of money that is expected. But that fabless approach, whatever is being taken, if we can make a huge difference on this in the coming years, country is definitely going to benefit. And in my own capacity as an individual, I have always tried to look at how we can enable the processes to work and move ahead in spite of the difficulties that we face. But then we should not be depending on individuals for making things happen. We need to make sure that we come up with definite processes, and the processes which are accepted by the government. And I'm extremely happy to learn that already this initiative of IESA and Accelerator Lab, what you're talking about, is right step. And the fact that Karnataka government is actually supporting the Acceleration Lab is also a very good information. And if the opportunity that is going to come in the country in terms of Internet of Things, and for many of them, probably we may not need really the high-end fabrication, semiconductor fabrication facility. Even the current one, whatever is available in the country, could be quite acceptable for a large number of activities, particularly those related to agriculture. And the number requirements there will be huge. Not only agriculture, some of the applications what we ourselves are coming out with, whether it is our navigation based fisherman application or tracking systems, many of them, there are opportunities available for fabless design entrepreneurs to come up with their new solutions and work. Few points what I would like to make in the context of IESA and SAFL would be, one is like what you are looking at, pulling together certain capabilities of the designs, and then when you are coming up with a product, in the product, like you are looking at how you can get easy access to funding or easy access to marketing. Probably if you are looking at a solution which is specific for our country and a problem which we need to address for our country, and not look at always the high end of the system. See, otherwise, if we are going to all the time depend on only the latest technology systems, is the one on which we should be working. Of course, there will be issues because obviously the high end technology can work with less power and then less consumption, all that. But there are also a large number of applications where power availability may not be an issue. So there, whether you provide a 40 nanometer or 28 nanometer chip or even a much larger power consuming device will not matter. But then will we be in a position to conceive of such things and provide such solutions? That is one of the things that we need to be really looking at. And beyond that, the concept that now you're looking at, bringing together a set of people who are interested in doing the fabless activity and addressing their problems at various levels, providing them the necessary tools through the government funded labs. In fact, Karnataka government definitely we should appreciate, because they have already done something similar in other areas. They have established a complete facility where the set of tools that are required for designers, mechanical and designers, and even thermal designs, they have established a facility and providing place there for entrepreneurs to come and work. Now, even in this area also, probably working with the Karnataka government, I'm not sure whether your laboratory is going to be a physical entity, it's going to exist somewhere.
Physical, small but virtual.
Virtual this thing. Okay. So anyway, that will be that's definitely a very good approach, and I'm sure the basic point is if few successes are demonstrated, then it is going to really take off. Now, our first effort should be to really see that within the next couple of years, what you are talking about, what are those examples where we can really demonstrate, and the actually today the governments, various state governments are competing with each other, and I'm sure there will be other governments which will be ready to do similar things, but of course they would want to do it in their own place, their own state. That could be a dampener, but if we can actually convince them that if all that can be pulled at one place, the growth is going to be much faster than the other approach. So anyway, I think the basic point, whatever initiative that IESA has taken and moved ahead, is definitely a great development in my opinion, and you can definitely depend on ISRO for doing what it can. Not that it can do many things, but within the constraints of what it can do, it will definitely help this ecosystem. And then we are also actually working with few of the companies to find solutions to their problems of converting their design into actually initial trial chips, and also later making some runs for their products. So this will continue to happen, and I think that's about what I would like to say on this occasion. One of the key things is India is definitely poised for a huge growth in the coming days, and the problems what we face is very peculiar and is very unlike what other countries have. And being a democracy, democracy has its advantages and its limitations, and one of the limitations all the entrepreneurs will see is when they want to get things done through the government. but then the democracy also gives some of the entrepreneurs a big advantage. So that also we need to appreciate. So it's both ends of the coin. So let me take this opportunity to congratulate IESA and also the team which has worked for making Shuffle happen. And I wish this entire enterprise a great success for the benefit of the country. And definitely I'm certain that in the coming years, in the next few years, we will see success stories coming out of this effort, and we will be probably celebrating like what we are doing now, maybe few years of decades of celebration. But within the first 5 years, I want to see IESA and Shuffle come out on a huge event, making sure that the solutions that we want to provide for this country happens. Thank you very much.
1 minute, sir. Just 1 second, sir. I think just be here. So thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Kumar, for letting us know the history of semiconductors with the ISRO, and also painting a framework in which Indian fabless industry can grow along with some of the institutions like ISRO. I would like to call Chairman Mr. Anil to come and give you a small token of appreciation. So, yeah. Taking advantage of this opportunity, I'm slightly misusing it. Sorry. I would like to announce this, to all of you, that a kind of formal relationship started with ISRO last year with Dr. Kiran Kumar's initiative. Actually, he only called us and he said, "Let us do this," and we did this first workshop last year. And then we always wanted to do this workshop every year and for more people. And this year, with the help of our guide, under the able guidance of Dr. Kiran Kumar and the current chairman, Dr. Sivan, we have decided to change the name of one of our most successful events, Deftronics, as Spacetronics and Deftronics. Because Spacetronics is dedicated only for ISRO, first day, and ISRO will be conducting half-a-day workshop in the afternoon session. And Dr. Sivan will be coming as a chief guest, and we have also started a new initiative. ISRO requested us to reach out to different parts of the country to start technical incubation centers, and as a first step, we have started this initiative in Tripura. In Agartala, with the help of NIT, we are starting the first technical incubation center, and the inauguration of this technical incubation center will be done in Bangalore on 18th of September. Please don't miss this date. And Dr. Sivan, as well as the Chief Minister of Tripura, will be inaugurating this session, this event, as well as pressing the button to open this technical incubation center. Further, Dr. Venkat Krishnan came with me, sir, last week to Tripura, and further, he was not satisfied. He said, we want to do some more things for this state. So we identified a land for starting space museum in Agartala, and it's almost half-acre plot, and government has agreed to give. So they will be setting up this space museum. And so we are doing a lot of things, sir. It all started with your initiative last year. Thank you very much for this support. I just have one question, actually. Again, misusing my privileges. You really explained very well what initiatives you people are doing, and some of the numbers are amazing. With university designs, more than 45 designs you have already converted into a product. For our Fabless community, we have one requirement. This I actually noticed it last time when I was at IMEC 2 months back. One of the entrepreneurs from Bangalore, it's a Fabless semiconductor company, he came all the way carrying, to carry the chips back because he said, we have some serious policy issues with the government, customs department, because they cannot just send some work, get the chips back and send it back for fabrication and then get it back after testing. There is some serious issue, we are working on it. So this gentleman actually carried the chips, and then I asked him, are you coming back to India? I said, no, I'm going to USA. I have to get these chips fabricated, and then it took for almost with personal, carrying the devices with him 1 month. Now, one of the challenges we are facing is how quickly we can turn around this idea, the design into a product. If SEL can help, see, 180 nanometers is still okay. Still, I understand more than 50% of the chips are above that. Yeah. So if SEL can work towards this speed, we need this entire thing to be done, converted in less than 4 weeks' time. That will be a great help for our community, sir. This is my humble request.
No, definitely one of the efforts that we are looking at is how to make it. Right now, we have been able to bring academic institutions and clusters into the mode. Probably, maybe one of the thing is like an association. ISRO can tie up with the association and the members can be provided an opportunity. We will work towards making that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Indian fabless industry, and if I include Indian fabless industry, all the multinational companies operating out of India, it has been a great success. I mean, you talk of any top tier semiconductor company, and you'll find that they work out of India. They have very good reasons to be operating out of India. However, if I just go and say domestic fabless companies, it has been a story of modest success, but it has been a story of, I would say, a great survival. And so with this context, the reason I was giving this context, because I would like to invite Parag, one of the probably largest running fabless companies in country. He has been a serial entrepreneur, 20 years plus in the industry, and he has done multiple semiconductor companies, and his current company Sankhya Lab has been running for about 8 years now. Okay, all right. So I think it would be very interesting to hear from him about the travails and the struggles of being a Indian fabless company and surviving so long. So with that, I would like to invite Parag on the stage, and I would request him to share his experiences.
Thanks, Ashok. So it's an honor and a privilege to talk after Dr. Kiran Kumar. I've had the privilege of actually interacting with him in the past, and I take a lot of. He's a lesson in a couple of things about leadership. One is the ability to listen. So I try to do that because I talk a little too much, I think, sometimes. I think it really struck me as a unique quality which I haven't seen in a lot of leaders. I think keeping up with the theme of storytelling, like JC started. Every startup is actually like making a movie. You are as a movie director, you are as good as your last one. Just because your last movie was a hit necessarily doesn't mean this is going to be a hit, right? In some sense, for me, this is my second startup, and we're trying to make a magnum opus, right? so I can imagine when K. Asif started Mughal-e-Azam, or even Ramesh Sappi did Sholay. It's tough. I believe when Sholay was released in '75, for the first 3 weeks, the movie was a dud. So it picked up slowly. So semiconductor startups are like that, right? They pick up very slowly. And that's something, unfortunately, the producers don't understand. So that's the problem, right? And there's still not a market yet for it. So with that, and also with the theme of resilience with Ashok and also JC said, I always like, one quote that I remember, actually from unlikely source, that's Mike Tyson. Says, you're the boxer, you wouldn't expect him to inspire startups, right? But he said everybody's got a plan until one gets punched in the face. So that's important. So even in boxing and in life also, I guess, what you do after you get punched in the face is what matters. And how many times you can stand up. In fact, I had a friend also who was, he was a commando in the Indian Army. So the guy is very thin and he was shorter than me. I said, I can take you on, man. You're smaller than me. He said, try. He said, the issue is not about, it's not about your strength. It's your ability to take hits and give back. It's all in the mind. And I think that's been the theme of our survival. And also there are quite a few signal chips and a few other that I know will have will have a similar story. I know I'll start off with the successes first. First success is we're still alive after 11 years. It's a big thing. In a generation where there's instant gratification. I think credit to my team, and we built a team that actually stayed on for 11 years, right? In spite of, and any worthwhile startup has to actually have multiple near-death experience. Otherwise, I don't think you come out stronger. We've had a couple of them, but I think that's enough for us now to stay back and fight. I think we are hopefully a role model for others. Maybe not ideal. There are a lot of mistakes that we made, probably, and we hope to help others who come into this with this. And not many people know. I think at the risk of sounding pompous, we also changed the lexicon within the industry, and that's a credit. In fact, when we started, when we were thinking of starting Sankhya in 2006, late 2007, I mean, the standards, wireless standards were exploding, right? You had multiple digital TV standards, you had Bluetooth. In fact, between 1940 to 1990, there were about 4 or 5 wireless standards. Between 1990 to probably now, there are about 40. So we started to, bet on a standard, and not bet on a standard, but bet on an architecture. That was the key strategic decision that we took at that time. And at that time, when we went around, we wanted to build a software-defined radio. We actually wanted to take an off-the-shelf DSP. There was none available. No wireless DSPs were available at that time. Siva probably had only an audio DSP. So, 2010, we actually built our own DSP, and at that point in time, Siva, came to us. Siva is one of the largest Israeli IP companies to use, use our DSPs in their as part of their offering, but we didn't accept that offer for various reasons. So, indirectly, we actually created a wireless DSP market. It's too much of a statement to make, but I think it's I know it personally because I have seen through it. And then the other one was bringing software-defined radio from a military technology into consumer domain. That was our. We have a product that is selling, not in the millions that we wanted, but at least it's not a demonstration. It's not a technology demonstrator. It's actually a product that is actually selling in various various products, from satellite phones. We had the privilege of working with ISRO to build India's first indigenous S-band satellite phone for the GSAT-6 satellites. In defense systems, it's been in TV receivers. We have in UHF modems and so on. One of the key things, we are one of the few companies in the world actually which actually raised capital between 2009. After 2007, it was like a nuclear winter for semiconductor startups worldwide. There were very few companies that raised money. So we raised money from Intel Capital, from General Motors. The story with Intel Capital is very funny. We were chasing them for 2 years, and those days in 2010 we used to go to Japan to sell our chips to Sony. I mean to kind of do marketing with Sony, right? So apparently Intel at that point in time wanted to get into the business that we were, that's in TV modems and TV receivers. So the Sony guy told them there's this startup in Bangalore, small guys who were doing some stuff. You should be doing that, and that's how Intel actually invested in us. But unfortunately, and if you look at it, I'll talk about the travels of raising money in the next slide. But so far we have had strategic investors who have invested in this. They understand, they take a long-term position, but there are also disadvantages with them. Their strategy changes. And in the case of Intel, the strategy changed and then we had a problem, right? Because the business group was, Varma knows here, right? Yes. The strategy changes and then you're back into a limbo. Struggles. I think the biggest battle that we have been fighting, I think in the last 17 years is that of perception. I think that's what when I realize now, I've become a bit philosophical after 17 years. You know, it's that's what is Maya. That's the reality, actually. In fact, if you ask me. So also, I'm a bit of a a bit reader of military history, especially Indian military history. Not many do that because we also work in defense communication, and it always struck me that how in the last 800 years we have been what we are. Part of the problem is, I think, we are mercenaries. So I don't know, not many people know about it. And in the Second World War, one of the first most important battles where the Rommel was pushed back in Africa was because of the second division of the Indian Army. Then on the Burmese border, we held back the Japanese when Japan had overrun China, whole of Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and whole of Southeast Asia. The same army in 1962 lost. So, what is the difference? The leadership. I think that's very, very important. So that is the issue that we have, right? And in Delhi, unfortunately, it's a necessary evil that we have to go to Delhi. But still the mindset exists that they're all the startups, all the people who want to make money are all lalas. They're out there to this is from the British type, right? You want to making money is still considered bad, right, in a good way, and all the problems that associated with it come up. And then the other most important thing is, ecosystem actually trumps technology any day. So most Chinese semiconductor companies, if you look at it, they are what my colleague and friend Rafael used to say, value-added services for TSMC. That's all they are. They don't have IP. They have an ecosystem. They have people sitting next to them who sell, ODMs, who buy from them. They know, the value also grew up because you know specifications. There's what we call tribal knowledge, right? You know. So here, that tribal knowledge moved to China and Korea, and that's where breaking into that ecosystem is tough. Selling chips to them, finding out what the requirements are, finding out what's the roadmap that they want, intersecting into that roadmap. That's far more important than building technology. It's a necessary condition, but not sufficient. A lot of times, you don't get specifications right. If you're playing in an incumbent market, if you miss out an interface, you're off by 3 years and a lot of money. So that is one of the part of the ecosystem. I'll talk about it a little later. One of the things that actually was a big bottleneck for us was, semiconductor operations and sales. We always undervalue that, especially sales. We think as engineers, technology comes first, we build it and then somebody will buy it. That doesn't happen that way. So that's a hard lesson that life has taught us, right? So that's getting an MBA without having to go to IIM or Harvard Business School. Where we get hit the biggest is basically the wafer pricing. You got 500-pound gorillas. You're a small, tiny, weeny insect, and you got your customers are 500-pound gorillas, and your vendors are 500-pound gorillas. How do you deal with them? How do you negotiate with them? Right? that has been a big learning, and it's not easy. Right? In a TSMC, you would never even talk to us initially. I mean, they said, oh, you guys must be one of those hundreds who come every day, right? So that's the big problem that you have. And then, on the capital side, I have a lot of horror stories with the Indian venture capital. At least those days, before Flipkart and all these guys made doing startup sexy, it was it was not as romantic then. So a lot of Indian VCs would treat, still I don't know, but those days treat us like beggars, guys coming to ask money. So they don't look at it like don't look at it like a business proposition, and that's my personal thing. Maybe others have a different opinion. In fact, and also a lot of VCs in India don't have operational experience. I know it's like I recall a story with we were pitching to one young guy in Bombay. He was an IIT alumnus. He did RF design for 2 years and then decided that that's hard work. I don't want to do that, and did an IIM Ahmedabad or something like that and became a VC. So he started You know that, right? That's easy. And he got into a big fight with us and saying, you can't do A15 software. So we literally got to a fist fight saying, we're doing it. And then what we realized is that, in our presentation, we used to talk about what we do and put who we are in the end. Then realize that, you should first put who you are. Then you say, I've got 25 years, I've got so many patents, I've got a PhD, somebody's got a PhD. Then they don't, question you on your technical capabilities. So we changed that. So sometimes that is an issue. But those days it was, but now I think it's not so much. I think they do believe that, it's technologically possible. Now they think it's, it's tough to, make money out of it. That's the reason there's no funding. And that's why I keep telling whoever is willing to listen is that we need an incubated market. And once the market is there, well, there is $400 billion every year. Every time I go to Delhi, I hear that. Mr. Dr. Kumar said that. So going by that, there are 4 of us. We should all be $100 billion each, right? But it doesn't happen that way, right? So unless they see a market, they're not going to invest. There's enough money floating around, in the market. And I think the less said of the government, except exceptions like ISRO, the better. I think Anil, what you said, we faced that about 8 years ago. Every year we get a love letter from the IT department. They think we are running a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, they think you're investing money, you're burning money, and you're not making money. That means there's something wrong with you. So they don't know. Yeah, ask our accountant guy. One of our guys is always permanently stationed there to fight them. That's the problem that we have. And they want us to fight Chinese companies, right? How is that possible? I mean, you have one, they're pulling us down. And of course, the other, the state governments, departments are even worse. You know that. And I keep telling them that, when we fight the Chinese companies, we are not fighting the Chinese companies. It's an unequal fight. We are fighting the Chinese government. How can a small company or 4 or 5 small companies take on the Chinese government? Because they have got the might of the government coming in. Just to give you a case in point, we have now complete digitization of cable set-top boxes in India, right? Complete. Barring probably 1 or 2%. So the way they go about, see, you had expertise in India to build, processors and application processors and the entire set-top box design in India. So what they do, they should have planned it earlier, had faith in the Indian system. What you effectively did was hand over a $12 billion market to the Chinese guys. And that continues, and that will continue. Unless, there is faith shown, by the government. And finally, I think somebody else also said, there's no, what I call the mothership. The mothership wants to cannibalize its daughters, actually, unfortunately here. A lot of PSUs think we are a threat to them. There are large companies, large ODMs, hardware ODMs, especially in the defense, they think we are a threat to them. They think it's not possible in India. So unless, for a Fabless semiconductor company, what we realized is also you are a small component of a larger ecosystem, even if you have a technology component. Unless you have a large ODM who actually makes these things, you would not get ecosystem of semiconductor companies here. Yeah. Also, when 10, 11 years ago, even now to an extent, there's a lack of mentors. Especially we have had such success stories in IT industry. Unfortunately, the founders of all the IT industry, they are more interested in business process innovations than actual fundamental innovations. And then they go around talking that there's no innovation in India. That's the problem. And when they got so much in money, you should at least give part of it back into the ecosystem. I think they are the best, companies to do it. And also, companies like Reliance Jio, they got such blind clout. They are the ones. I think if anybody can make in India happen, it is them. And finally, retaining talent, right? This whole startup thing is, now it's Times of India in the last 4 or 5 years has made it very sexy to start up companies, right? In software, and they see $16 billion exits coming in. But it's all hard work. A lot of people don't know that once they get into it, it's all about delayed gratification, and not many people would like delayed gratification. Retaining talent, especially at the lower and the mid levels, is a big challenge. We've got Intels and Qualcomms who just throw around monies. Exactly. No, we supply you a lot of manpower, trained manpower, and I think. And then what also happens is, some of these businesses are hard, right? It takes about 4, 5, 6 years before people get a hang of what's going on. And after 25 years, sometimes you also don't get hang of what's going on. But at least to know where you're going from a technology point, it takes 6 years, and then you lose people there. That's another challenge, I guess. All of the everybody in the room who's on a company, can. But fortunately for us, we had a group of people we had a shared vision, and we didn't go with a mercenary model, right? We had a different model where most of the company is owned by employees. So in that way, there is a sense of delayed gratification. There is some gold pot at the end of the journey. My last one. What are the lessons? Well, we always tend to think that the first demo is what's important. After that, there's a power law from statistics that's lurking below. The power law says that what time it took you to go to 70% of the product takes you exponentially the time to go to 95, and from 95 to 100 exponentially, and even more exponentially when you want to sell it. So that power law is something that we all miss out. We think it's the first IP or the first design or the first tape out is what it is. Between the first tape out to the first sale is a long time. In fact, it is exponentially increasing. It's not decreasing. We tend to think it's exponentially decreasing. And I build my first tape out, and then the orders will come after it. It doesn't. And then my favorite character from military history is Shivaji. The way he took on the Mughal army is very clear. He never took them on the plains, right? Because he was too small. You pull them onto the Western Ghats, where it's very difficult for them to fight. So you can't take on sorry to say that, but Intel or a Qualcomm in the plains in what they're good at. You have to find your own niche, and that's tough in semiconductors. It's not very easy, and you have to find your niche in terms of the product mix or your business model or whatever. And the other thing is the semiconductor business is a bottomless pit. We have invested about 100 crores so far. Still continuing. But yeah, it's a long gestation period, but in the last 2 years we are profitable. So that's good. So it takes it's a Chinese bamboo tree, right? It takes 8, 10 years, and then it grows up really fast. That's something that the finance guys don't understand. And then the government is a necessary evil, that we have to interact with them. We have to learn to deal with Delhi, however bad it is. And you have to go on and on and on and hope, and through organizations like IESA. In fact, some of the times what I realize is also that we don't collaborate as much as we should be. It's small ecosystem, and we can be friends and enemies together. Friends collaborating and also compete. I think that spirit is sometimes lacking here. That's one of the things that I feel is the issue. Also invest in, a lot of times as engineers, right? We get fed up that the other guy is not understanding what you're saying. That's his problem. You're the smart guy. But I think a lot of times there are different perspectives that people have that we don't get as engineers. I think you have to spend a lot of time in educating people on and really a long time, years and years and years before it starts to start to understand. Going forward, I think we should start to think of platforms and not just products, because what we realize again is, suppose you want to sell to Samsung, why will they buy it from you, right? It's a difficult thing. So you start investing. So in our case, what we did was we did a pivot. I talked about the pivot, right? There's multiple pivots that we did. It's a first of its kind in the world for a semiconductor company. In the Valley, semicon company never pivots. It just dies. Here, we actually went from building a chip to building an entire system. We didn't, and along the way we got a lot of help also from ISRO, where we built. In fact, by the way, we had our own the IBM moment. We said when we designed the first product, we'll never ever implement it, never ever implement any satellite standard on it. But our first revenue started to come from satellite. So it's funny, how that works. And that's where we had to build this platform of products from where you can actually become an ODM. So in fact, in some sense, in some product lines, we ourselves are the ODM. No? So the semiconductor, when the division becomes a customer vendor for the division. Finally, the ecosystem is more than just smart VLSI embedded software analog designs, right? We need people who close deals. We don't have expertise. People who can close deals, who can play golf. Engineers don't play golf, right? We play cricket or football, which is not good. So a lot of deals. I mean, this is this is something that you learn, that that deals happen, and at the end of the day, people are people, right? You have to build relationships. That part is something that only can come from a mentor. It doesn't come from a school or from I think it's learning from life. So the ecosystem actually has capital, venture capital. It has got. We have to have lawyers also, people who can write contracts. Unfortunately, a lot of our contracts with our vendors, with our customers, we are writing them ourselves. The lawyer just puts in all the complicated English in that. So what to look for, right? In fact, the other one current problem that we have is when we are dealing in IPR businesses, not many. I mean, people know that. I mean, the finance people know that you have to be. You have to give indemnity. There are no people in India who can actually give insurance against that, right? They don't understand that. That's part of the ecosystem. We don't have that. Just having a bunch of smart engineers doesn't just help. You need all of that to build before before you actually can actually sell stuff. And finally, we have to stay. It's a story of blood and gore. You have to stay there, fight and fight, take as many punches as you can until you die. So, and hopefully you get a chance to hit back once. And when you get back, and that will be a knockout one, hopefully, when you hit back. And for that, we have to stay positive, reach out. In fact, I've always been a proponent of collaborating. In fact, we within our company itself, we have more than 5 or 6 partner companies that we work with. We are always. I think that's the way to grow. I think there's enough space for all of us. 400 billion is infinity, right? At least a lot of people, 100 million is also infinity right now. So there's enough capability for us to go and make those $100 million companies. And keeping theme with the movie, picture abhi bhi baki hai, mere dost. Yeah. So, yeah. And there are multiple pictures here also, not one. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Parag. Thank you very much for this, presentation to us. In fact, it was all heart. I'm not sure if you would have ruffled some feathers in the room, but I think this we felt that it is going to be a very interesting keynote to hear that what exactly goes on doing a fabless startup in India. And I know that you spoke about the traditional VCs. We have many new age VCs here, so I think you will see the time is changing. So we'll soon hear from them. Yeah. So Parag, may just request you to come here one more time, and I would request Mr. Jalan to please come and hand over this token of appreciation to Parag, to a semiconductor entrepreneur from a new age VC. So, and I would again like to reiterate the fact that Mr. Jalan has been most supportive to this event, and he has helped us with the logistics with some real hard cash. So he's already investing in semiconductor ecosystem. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Jalan. So yeah, I think